The bite that changed everything. The alarms screamed like angry ghosts. Red lights flashed across the broken corridors of the alien freighter, painting the walls in blood-colored light. Evan Carter's boots slammed against the metal floor as he ran. His oxygen meter was dropping fast, 45% left. The ship groaned around him, the sound of tearing metal echoing through the hull. Somewhere far away, something exploded, and the shockwave almost threw him into a wall. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was just a human engineer, part of a rescue team sent to help an alien cargo ship that had sent out a distress call. Fix the engine, stabilize the life support, go home. That was the plan. But plans don't mean much when the ship you're on is falling apart. Up ahead, he saw them 3 alien crew members trapped behind a collapsed beam. They were tall, their silver skin glinting under the emergency lights. One of them was different. She wasn't just tall, she moved like she was carved from steel and shadow, her golden eyes sharp and focused even in the chaos. Help them! Evan shouted, rushing forward. He tried to lift the beam, but it was heavier than it looked. His arms shook. His oxygen was now at 39%. The golden-eyed alien moved fast, shoving him aside, not gently, and grabbing the beam with her bare hands. Muscles in her arms tensed like coiled metal cables. With a roar, she lifted the beam and tossed it aside like it weighed nothing. The trapped crew scrambled free, running toward the escape pods. Evan took a breath of relief. Then the deck beneath him buckled. A section of the ceiling came loose. A giant piece of jagged metal fell toward him. He barely had time to think, "Oh no," before something slammed into him from the side. It was her, the golden-eyed alien. She pushed him to the ground, hard, and the falling debris smashed into the floor where he had been standing. He looked up at her in shock, and then she bit him, not a little nip, not a warning. Her sharp teeth sank into the flesh of his shoulder, through the thin layer of his spacesuit. He felt the puncture, the heat, the strange electric burn that followed. He gasped in pain and confusion. What the hell? But before he could finish, she pulled back, her mouth stained with his blood. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, the chaos of the ship seemed to vanish. There was something ancient in her gaze, something that didn't care about alarms, explosions, or the fact that she had just bitten a complete stranger. The moment shattered when the floor tilted. Gravity failed, and they both floated upward. As the ship's systems completely died, the alien grabbed him by the collar and shoved him toward the nearest escape hatch. "Move, human," she barked in a voice like low thunder. They launched themselves into the pod just as another explosion ripped through the freighter. The pod's hatch slammed shut, sealing them inside. Evan sat there, clutching his shoulder. You bit me. What is wrong with you?" She didn't answer. She just strapped herself in and stared straight ahead as the pod shook violently. Breaking free from the doomed freighter. Outside, Evan could see the wreckage shrinking away, pieces of the alien ship spinning into the void. He should have felt relief. He was alive. But all he could feel was the dull throb in his shoulder and the strange heat spreading through his chest. Minutes passed. The pod finally stopped shaking, drifting into the dark silence of space. That's when he noticed something else. Her eyes on him again. "You will survive now," she said simply, as if that explained everything. "Survive? I was already surviving until you decided to." He stopped mid-sentence as the pod's communication panel lit up. A voice came through, deep and formal, speaking in a language he didn't understand. His translator pinged and converted the words into English. "Commander Vera, your bond is complete. The human is now your mate. Under galactic law, you are joined." Evan stared at the panel. "Wait, what? Mate? No. No. I'm not. This is insane." The voice continued, ignoring him completely. "You'll be escorted to the capital for formal recognition. Congratulations to you both." Evan turned slowly toward her. "Did he just say married? Are you kidding me?" She didn't blink. "It is done." "What do you mean, it is done?" "You bit me." "That doesn't mean." "It means everything," she said, her tone final, like she was stating a fact carved in stone. "From now on, you are under my protection, and my enemies are now yours." Evan felt his mouth go dry. His pulse quickened not from romance, but from the sudden, cold understanding that whatever she had done, it wasn't just weird alien flirting. Somewhere out there, in the endless black of space, strangers now believed he was bound to this warrior woman. And in their world, that bond clearly meant more than he could yet imagine. He leaned back in the seat, his mind spinning. The pain in his shoulder pulsed like a second heartbeat, and the way she was watching him calm, unshaken, told him one thing. Whatever this bond was, it was going to change his life forever. Asterisk, the bride who won't explain. The rescue pod docked with a massive alien battleship. From the outside, it looked like a floating fortress, black armor plates, glowing engines, and gun turrets big enough to swallow a small shuttle. Evan's heart was still racing, but now it wasn't just from the chaos of the escape dock. As the hatch opened, a crowd of alien soldiers stood waiting. Their armor shimmered like oil in sunlight, and each one held a weapon that looked like it could turn him into vapor, but they didn't aim at him. They bowed. Every single one of them lowered their heads, not to Commander Vera, but to him. Evan froze. What is this?" A deep voice boomed from the crowd. "Welcome, bonded consort of the High Commander." Vera stepped out of the pod without a word. The soldiers parted for her like water splitting around a blade. She didn't look at Evan, didn't explain, didn't slow down. She just walked, expecting him to follow. He did, mostly because the alternative was standing there with 100 armed aliens staring at him. The corridors of the corridors battleship were alive, literally. Strange lines of light pulsed through the walls, like the ship had veins. The air was heavy with the scent of metal and something sharp, like ozone after lightning. Finally, they entered a large chamber with a round table in the center. Holographic maps of star systems floated above it, spinning slowly. Vera stopped, turned to him, and for the first time since the bite, really looked at him. "You will stay close to me. Do not speak unless I say, do not wander. If anyone asks, you are mine." Evan's eyes narrowed. "Yeah, what does mine even mean to you people? Because on Earth, biting someone isn't exactly, you are not on Earth." She cut in sharply. "Here, the bond is law. Blood has marked you. It cannot be undone." Her voice was calm, but there was steel under it. She wasn't warning him, she was commanding him. Evan clenched his fists. "You keep saying bond. You keep acting like I should know what it means. So maybe, just maybe, you could explain why I'm apparently married to a woman who assaulted me in the middle of a rescue." Vera didn't blink. "Because it was the only way to save you." "That's not an answer. It's the only one you'll get, for now." Before he could argue, the chamber doors slammed open. 3 figures entered, taller than Vera, draped in black armor with crimson stripes. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were sharp, almost predatory. The lead one stepped forward. "So it's true," he said, his voice deep and dangerous. "The human lives, the bond is sealed." Vera's hand brushed the hilt of the curved blade at her side. "Watch your tone, Keller." The alien's gaze slid to Evan, scanning him like a hunter sizing up prey. He doesn't look like much. Soft, breakable. Evan felt his stomach tighten. Keller leaned closer, his glowing eyes cold. "You've just inherited her allies. Human. And her enemies. When she falls, you fall. When she bleeds, you bleed. Evan's voice was tight. Is that supposed to be a threat? Keller smiled a slow, predatory smile. No, it's a promise. Vera stepped between them, her presence like a wall of iron. Enough. He is mine. Touch him, and you answer to me. The room went silent. Keller's smile vanished, replaced by something darker. Without another word, he turned and left, his two companions following. When the door shut, Evan exhaled the breath. He didn't realize he'd been holding. So, that guy's not a fan. Vera didn't answer. She was staring at the holographic maps, her eyes scanning a cluster of red dots moving across a star system. Finally, she spoke. Keller was right about one thing. You are in danger now, simply for existing. Because of you, Evan shot back. No, she said softly, almost too softly. Because of what you are now. He frowned. And what exactly am I? Vera looked at him, then really looked, her golden eyes burning like twin suns. A key, a shield. And if you survive long enough, a weapon. Evan's mouth went dry. A weapon? I'm an engineer. I fix things. I'm not a... You will be, she said, turning away. Or you will die. The pulsing lights in the walls seemed to quicken, as if the ship itself had heard her words. And for the first time since the bite, Evan felt it, not just fear, but the heavy, invisible weight of something far bigger than himself. Something he didn't understand yet. Something that had just begun. Asterisk, a marriage with enemies. Battleship didn't sleep. Even in the deep hours of the ship's night cycle, the corridors hummed with the low growl of engines, and distant footsteps echoed like ghosts. Asterisk Evan lay on the narrow bed in the quarters they'd given him. The walls felt too close, the air too still. He couldn't stop thinking about Keller's words. When she falls, you fall. When she bleeds, you bleed. It sounded less like a warning and more like a prophecy. The door hissed open. Evan jolted upright. Vera stepped in without knocking. Her armor stripped down to a black combat suit. She looked different. Not battle-ready, but sharper. Her golden eyes scanned the room before locking on him. Get up, she said. It's the middle of the whatever passes for night around here. He muttered. We're not safe, she replied, voice low. They know you're here. Before he could ask who they were, the ship's alarms wailed. Not the same slow, warning tone from the freighter. This one was fast, sharp like the ship itself was panicking. Vera moved fast, grabbing his wrist and pulling him out of the room. Stay close, do not speak, and if someone aims at you, drop. They ran through the halls as soldiers rushed past, shouting in a language Evan didn't understand. But he didn't need a translator to know what was happening. Something was. Boarding the ship. When they reached the observation deck, Evan saw them, not ships. Shadows, long, needle-like crafts with no visible engines or lights, sliding silently through space. They didn't look alive until one of them opened. The shadow peeled apart, revealing dozens of pale, thin figures with black, glassy eyes. They didn't use airlocks. They melted through the hull like smoke through a crack. Vera's jaw tightened. Bloodseekers. Evan had never heard the name, but the way she said it made his skin crawl. They're assassins, she explained quickly. Hired killers, always paid in blood debt, and now. She looked at him. You have one. Me? Why me? Because killing you kills me. The bond links more than just our lives. It links our deaths. Evan's stomach dropped. So, anyone who hates you just has to... Yes, she said sharply. Which means you are now the easiest way to destroy me. The observation glass suddenly cracked, a thin spiderweb line spreading across it. Outside, one of the shadow creatures pressed its clawed hand against the surface. Its mouth opened not in a scream, but in a slow, silent smile. Then the glass gave way. The emergency shields kicked in, sealing the breach, but not before two assassins slipped through. They landed soundlessly, their movements unnervingly smooth, like snakes made of bone. Vera's blade was out in an instant, its edge glowing faintly. "Stay behind me," but the assassins didn't charge her. They moved toward Evan fast. Instinct took over. Evan grabbed the nearest thing he could find, a metal panel from a maintenance station, and swung it. The blow knocked one assassin back, but the other slipped past Vera's guard and reached for him. The moment its cold hand touched his chest, something strange happened. A bite mark on his shoulder burned hard, hot. Almost electric dot, the assassin froze. Its black eyes widened, and it staggered back like it had touched fire. The mark on Evan's skin began to glow faintly, lines of golden light tracing down his arm. Vera cut the assassin down before it could recover. The other one vanished into smoke. Retreating into the dark void dot, the soldiers sealed the deck. But the damage was done, word would spread. "You did something," Evan said, still catching his breath. That bite, Vera stared at him, her voice tight. "The bond is more dangerous than you know. And now every assassin, bounty hunter, and blood debt clan will want to test it." He swallowed hard. "Test it how?" "To see," she said, stepping closer. "If killing you kills me, or something far worse." Somewhere deep in the ship, the engines roared, shifting course. But Evan knew they weren't running away from trouble. They were heading straight into it. Asterisk the test of loyalty. The summons came at dawn cycle. Two armored guards appeared at Evan's quarters, their weapons glowing faintly with energy that hummed in his bones. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. Vera was waiting outside, her expression carved from stone. "It's time," she said. "For what?" He asked warily. "The clan trial. They demand proof you're worthy of the bond. If you fail, the council will dissolve it and strip you of my protection." Evan's mind flashed back to Keller, to the Bloodseekers, to the bite that still throbbed faintly under his skin. "And then? They will not let you live," Vera said simply. "Too dangerous, too inconvenient." The walk to the trial chamber was silent, except for the sound of their footsteps echoing off the black metal walls. The air grew colder. The deeper they went, until Evan could see his breath. The chamber itself was a vast circle of dark stone. Torches burned with silver flames. In the center was a pit, ringed by alien warriors in armor etched with clan symbols. Above them, carved into the walls, were hundreds of small metallic masks, each one representing a warrior who had died in the trials. Evan swallowed hard. Nice decor, very encouraging. The voice that answered wasn't Vera's. It came from the far side of the pit, deep and booming. "Human, you claim the bite. You claim the bond. Now prove you deserve it." A tall figure stepped forward, Vera's father, the warlord. His armor looked older than the ship, his golden eyes colder than hers. "You will face 3 tests," he continued. "Strength, mind, loyalty. Fail one, you fail all." The first test began without warning. A massive warrior leapt into the pit, wielding a weapon that looked like a cross between an axe and a lightning rod. The crowd roared. Evan had no weapon, at least, not until a panel in the floor slid open and a single steel staff rose from it. He grabbed it, trying not to think about how light it felt, or how weak he probably looked next to his opponent. The warrior charged. Evan ducked under the first swing, barely avoiding the blade's crackling energy. He didn't try to overpower him. He couldn't. Instead, he let the warrior's own strength work against him, sidestepping until the huge weapon lodged itself in the pit wall. Evan used the staff like a lever, wrenching it free and sending the warrior sprawling. The crowd went silent. Then, slowly, a few began to clap not in praise, but in acknowledgement. The second test began immediately. The pit floor shifted, breaking apart into floating platforms that moved like slow, lazy predators. Between them, a glowing maze of light peered in the air. "This," the warlord said, "is the star map of the blood war. Find the path that ends the war. You have 1 minute." Evan stared at it, his heart pounding. The map twisted in 3 dimensions, glowing lines shifting and reconnecting. He couldn't read the alien symbols, but he could see patterns. A repeating cluster of dots. A hidden symmetry in the lines. 30 seconds in, he saw at a single connection point that, if broken, would collapse the entire war network. He reached out and touched it. The maze dissolved in a flash of light. Murmurs swept the chamber. Even Vera looked surprised. Then came the final test. The warlord stepped into the pit himself. "This is not combat. This is choice," he said, holding out 2 blades, one silver, one black. "One will cut me. The other will cut her." Vera stepped forward without fear. "Choose, Evan." Evan froze. "What happens if I refuse?" "Then you choose yourself," the warlord said, "and you will be executed as a coward." The crowd leaned forward, hungry for his decision. Silver, black, her life. His life. No time to think. He reached out, then did something none of them expected. He took both blades. Gasps rippled through the chamber. "Neither of you die today," he sighed. "Because if this bond is real, then killing either of you kills the clan, and I'm not here to make your enemy's job easier." The warlord's golden eyes narrowed. Then he smiled. "Clever," he said. "You pass." The crowd erupted. The trial was over, but as Vera led him away, she whispered something that made his stomach twist. "You didn't just win the trial. You just earned the right to lead in my absence. And there are those here who will kill to make sure that never happens." Somewhere in the shadows, Keller was watching and smiling. Asterisk secrets in the bite. The trial had ended hours ago, but Evan couldn't sleep. His body felt wired, his thoughts a storm. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the warlord stare, and Keller's smile. He sat in the dark, rubbing his shoulder where Vera had bitten him. The skin was warm. Too warm. The door slid open. With a hiss, Vera stepped inside, carrying a small black case. She didn't speak, just locked the door behind her and activated a device that filled the room with a low, humming static. "What's that?" Evan asked. "Sound veil," she said. "No one can hear us now. Not even my father." That made him sit up. "Okay?" That's comforting and terrifying at the same time. "What's going on?" Vera placed the black case on the table and opened. Inside was a small vial of shimmering gold liquid and a scanner shaped like a dagger. She pointed to his shoulder. The bite wasn't only a bond, it was an injection. Evan's pulse kicked up. "You injected me? With what?" "Blood nanits," she said calmly. "They carry my clan's genetic marker." "And something more." She took the scanner and held it over his shoulder. A holographic image flickered into the air, his D in a spiral, but threaded with glowing gold strands that pulsed like a heartbeat. Evan stared. "What am I looking at?" "Your blood now carries command authority," Vera said. "In my clan, only the leader can activate the warkids that control our fleets. My father has them. I have them. And now you have them." Evan blinked. "So you made me your what? Backup P?" "Not backup," she said. "Equal. If my father dies, you can take command of everything, ships, armies, weapons powerful enough to end worlds." Asterisk the air seemed heavier, pressing on Evan's chest. "That's insane. Why me?" Her gaze didn't waver. Because you're not one of us. Because you think differently. Because I saw what you did in the trial. And because every clan in the galaxy is preparing for war. A war we may not survive without someone unpredictable. Evan shook his head. So I'm not just your husband. I'm a walking nuclear launch code. Yes, she said simply. Which is why your enemies will never stop coming. They won't just want to kill you. They'll want to take you alive, can bleed. The code's out of you. Before he could respond, the ship's lights flickered. The static veil around them crackled and died. A voice came over the intercom cold, sharp, and too familiar. Kale, or double quotes, Commander Vera. Human, you've been keeping secrets. I think it's time the Council hears them. The door lock hissed. Vera's eyes locked with Evan's. They can't know. Not yet. How exactly do we keep it secret when your psycho rival is about to walk in? Her answer was to toss him the vial of gold liquid. Hide this. If they find it, you die. The door exploded inward. Keller stepped in, flanked by 2 armored guards. His smile was all teeth. I came to congratulate you, he said, his eyes flicking between them. And to offer a warning, your bond has just made you the most dangerous man in the galaxy. And dangerous men? He leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. Don't live long. The guards moved to search the room. Evan's fingers tightened around the vial, hidden in his palm. For the first time since this nightmare began, he realized something. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about who would control a galaxy on the edge of war. And right now, he was the one holding the trigger. Asterisk war comes for the groom. The first blast hit before the alarms even sounded. Evan was thrown against the wall, the gold vial still hidden in his pocket. The lights went red, and the entire ship groaned like it was in pain. Vera didn't hesitate. She pulled him to his feet and shoved him toward the nearest lift. They've found us, she said. Not assassins this time. An army. Whose army? Evan asked, stumbling into the lift. Her golden eyes narrowed. The rival clan. They want the codes in your blood? And they're not here to bargain. The lift. Doors opened to chaos. Alien crew ran in every direction, weapons humming, shields snapping into place. Through the viewing deck's massive windows, Evan saw them dozens of warships in tight formation, their black hulls painted with blood-red symbols. One ship was bigger than the rest, shaped like a spear aimed right at them. The warlord's voice boomed over the comms. Battle stations. Hold the line. Vera dragged Evan into the command center. Holographic maps filled the air, showing their fleet and the incoming attackers. The warlord looked at Evan, his expression unreadable. The codes are yours as much as hers. You will fight. Evan froze. I don't even know how to fly one of your ships. You won't fly, the warlord said. You'll command. The battle began. The enemy fired first massive beams of red energy slicing through space, tearing into the forward shields. Evan's instinct was to duck, but the crew didn't flinch. They were waiting for orders. Vera leaned in, her voice low. You've built ships. You know weaknesses. Find theirs. He stared at the holographic display. The enemy ships moved like a single creature-perfect coordination. No wasted motion. Which meant they're running on a central relay, he realized. One hub, controlling all their targeting. He pointed to a smaller ship, hidden near. The enemy's rear flank. That's it. Take that out. They lose formation. The warlord didn't question him. He barked the order. A wing of fighters peeled off, diving toward the target. The enemy reacted too late. The relay ship exploded in a flash of blue fire, and suddenly their perfect formation broke apart, ships swerving wildly. The crew roared. Vera's eyes blazed with pride, but the victory was short. A spear-shaped flagship powered up its main weapon, a massive cannon that made the rest of the fleet look like toys. Evan didn't need a translation to know what that thing could do. "It's aiming at us," he said. Vera's father turned to him. "You carry the codes. You can order every ship in this fleet to shield you. Do it now." Evan hesitated. Ordering every ship to shield him meant pulling them off their own battles. Thousands could die. His pulse thundered in his ears. "No," he said. "We're not turtling up. We're ending this." He reached for the command console. The golden lines in his DNA lit the interface, reacting to him like he'd been born to use it. Every ship, target the flagship's cannon. Focus. Fire. All at once. The order went out instantly. Dozens of ships turned, their weapons charging. The enemy fired first. The red beam tore toward them like a spear of pure death and vanished in a storm of return. Fire as the flagship's cannon exploded from the inside. A shockwave ripped through the enemy fleet. Without their flagship, they broke formation and fled, scattering into the black void. The command center erupted in cheers, but Evan didn't celebrate. Because on the display, he saw something the others didn't notice, yet one enemy ship hadn't fled. It was drifting, burning, and sending a transmission. Vera saw it too. "They're calling for reinforcements." The warlord's face was grim. "Not reinforcements. Allies." Evan frowned. "Allies? Who would—" Then the transmission reached them. The hologram that appeared made his blood run cold. It wasn't another clan. It wasn't even the same species. It was a different empire. Entirely. And the alien on the hologram smiled as he spoke. "Human, we have been looking for you." Asterisk husband of the galaxy. The hologram filled the command deck. The alien who stared at Evan was nothing like Vera's people. Its skin was a pale crystal that caught the light like shattered ice. Its mouth was too wide, its smile too still. "Human," it said again, voice smooth and cold. "You carry the golden codes. We will take them now." Evan didn't move. "And if I say no?" The alien smile sharpened. "Then your Earth will burn first." The word hit like a punch. Earth. Home. Nobody had even mentioned his planet since the bite, because no one here cared. But now, someone from outside knew exactly where he came from. The transmission cut off. On the battle map, dozens of new signatures appeared: larger ships, heavier weapons, closing in fast. Vera's father looked at him. "They are not our enemies, yet. But they will not stop until they own you." "Great," Evan said, his voice tight. "So my choices are, give myself up, or watch them glass Earth?" Vera stepped forward, her hand on his arm. "There is a third choice. Fight, not as my bondmate, but as the leader you have become." Evan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm not a leader. I'm an engineer who got bitten in the middle of a rescue mission." She held his gaze. "And now the galaxy knows your name." The warlord gave a single nod. "The codes respond to you. That makes you more than a leader. It makes you a banner. And banners are followed." The enemy fleet was closing. Their ships were bigger, faster, built for sieges. Vera's clan couldn't outgun them head-on. Evan stared at the map. His mind started breaking it down: angles, speeds, blind spots. Not as a warrior, but as an engineer. "They expect us to defend this position," he said slowly. "So we don't. We hit them before they finish forming." The warlord raised a brow. "Strike first? Risky. Not if we use the debris field." "From the last battle as cover?" Evan said, pointing. "We split the fleet into two wings. One hides here, the other here. When they pass through the gap, we close it like a trap." Vera's golden eyes lit up, like a closing jaw. The plan was set. The battle began in silence. Just the slow drift of wreckage, the cold pull of space. Then the enemy entered. The field, their massive ships sliding between the debris. Aven gave the order. The clan's warships ignited at once, breaking from hiding like a swarm of knives. They struck from both sides, weapons tearing into the enemy's engines before they could react. The first wave fell fast, but the flagship didn't run. Instead, it opened fire with a weapon, unlike anything Evan had seen, pulses of white energy that turned metal into dust. One blast grazed Vera's ship. She stumbled, but didn't fall. Evan's chest burned where she had bitten him. He could feel her pain literally through the bond. Pull back. He shouted over comms. Vera's voice came back sharp. No, we ended here. The flagship charged its weapon again, but this time, Evan had seen enough of its pattern. He called. Every ship into a single reckless run straight at the enemy's core. The fleet hit like a storm. The flagship's weapon fired too late. Evan's forces punched through its hull, and the massive ship broke apart in a chain of silent explosions. The remaining enemy ships scattered into the dark. The battle was over, but there was no cheer in the command deck. Vera's father turned to Evan. Today, you were more than my daughter's mate. You were the hand that saved 2 worlds. And now, both will expect you to protect them. Evan felt the weight of it settle in his chest. The galaxy had seen him fight, had seen him command. And whether he wanted it or not, they now saw him as something dangerous. Vera stepped closer, her voice low so only he could hear. I bid you to save you. But now, you're saving me. He managed a tired smile. Guess that makes us even. Asterisk, she shook her head. No, this is only the beginning. Through the viewport, the stars stretched endlessly ahead. Somewhere out there, news of the battle was already spreading. Other clans, other empires, other hunters dot, and all of them would know the same thing. The human husband had just won a war.